Let me bring in Sean Spicer, Communications Director for the Republican National Committee. Good morning, Sean.
Good morning, Chris.
A deal to extend unemployment benefits, as you know, may have fallen apart in the Senate. That's the reporting this morning. We know the push for food stamp support, a raise in the minimum wage, those are both stalled. Look, we know what the Republican talking points are, that you folks want this paid, that you don't think that the economy, that the president has moved this economy as well as it should be. But let's just talk about these people who are being affected right now, like the 1.3 million without unemployment benefits, with Americans struggling to make ends meet. Should the Republicans embrace the push for some economic support here?
Well, I'd add in another group, Chris, which is the 861,000 people last month that just gave up looking for work. We've got the lowest labor participation rate in 36 years. And what that means is that more and more Americans, the lowest in 36 years, aren't even looking for work because they're so discouraged. I think that's really troubling, and it's something that we're concerned about, obviously, as Republicans, in the sense that what we want is Americans to have a job with benefits, be able to provide for their families, provide for their kids' future.
You're not suggesting that the Democrats don't want that.
Hold on, Chris. I think what our goal is that time and time again in Washington we get our head wrapped around these short-term fixes. What are we going to do to spend more money to get this going? What Republicans want is, because what we keep coming back to every month, every few months, is let's throw some more money at a problem. I think what we want to do is, yes, do we feel for every American who's out there struggling right now to either pay their heating bill or put food on the table or provide for their children's education? Absolutely. Those are struggles that no American should have to go through. But what we want to do is actually solve the problem and get them jobs so that they can live a life of dignity and care for their family and themselves and provide a better future for others.
Well, let's talk about jobs, Sean, because
I think what we do is we look at...
I want to answer your points because you're making a lot of them. One concern that the Democrats have, and that some economists have, and studies have, is that if you pull away these unemployment benefits, that's money that's not going into the economy. That's local businesses that are being hurt, and at least one study suggests that 240,000 jobs will be lost this year if we don't extend unemployment benefits.
Yeah, but I would argue that if you passed the Keystone Pipeline, you'd actually create tens of thousands of long-term jobs. But we have 150 jobs bills that the Republican Congress has passed to the Senate, and yet none of them have gotten any media attention. And no one's asking Harry Reid, why aren't you passing the ones that'll create, 1,000 jobs here and 10,000 jobs here? Why are we consistently wrapped around the idea of let's pass more and more bills that will help people in the short term, which is, I understand that no American should be struggling the way we are. And I think Republicans are not only looking at how do we pay for this so that we can help these folks, but we're looking long term. And that's what I think constantly gets missed by Democrats in this administration is let's stop the talking point about how we're going to extend benefits here and there and look at how can we give people good paying long-term jobs that have benefits that with health care and that they can create a career on. We keep getting wrapped around this, and I think that's the wrong debate.
Let me switch gears if I can.
Do we need to care about everyone who's struggling? Absolutely. Should we look for ways to pay for this to help them in the next few months? Yes. But we've got to stop worrying about next month and start thinking about how do we provide long-term jobs that'll get these 861,000 people that just frankly gave up looking for work. How do we put them back to work? How do we take these people that are struggling week after week and put them to work? But where's the attention to those bills and those efforts to put those people back to work?
Let me get your thoughts now, if I can, on Chris Christie. Let me read from the Washington Post, Stan Balls. I think this sums up what a lot of people have said about this. Is there anything that ties Christie directly to what happened? The controversy will probably be fatal to his political aspirations. If not, the issue is whether this becomes a moment that fades quickly, or whether it leaves lasting doubts about the governor's character and temperament. Do you agree with that?
Well, I think what I saw yesterday was a leader who got out and said there's a problem, there's behavior that's unacceptable, I'm going to take responsibility for it, I'm going to show you the actions that are going to result from it, and I think that's refreshing. I think the funny thing about it is that guest after guest provides an analysis, what happens if this happens, what happens, but I think people have to pause for a second, because what Americans I think have been yearning for politicians is someone standing up and saying something went wrong on my watch, I'm going to acknowledge it was wrong, wrong. It was unacceptable. I'm going to show you the action I'm taking. I'm going to show you what a leader does. And time after time, I'm proud to say that it's the Republicans, especially our governors, that are doing these kind of things. And as a Republican, as an American, I'm pleased to see this kind of leadership. It's something that we're not seeing a lot in the Democratic Party, whether it's the GSA scandal, the Benghazi issue,
well, would you agree, Sean, that there are still a lot of outstanding questions there?
Scandal after scandal. The press corps seems to, buy into, okay, well, they just said it was nothing and let's move on. Governor Christie took responsibility and showed what a leader does, and I think that that's refreshing, and I think it's important that you see that that's what happens when Republicans deal with situations.
If you step back for a second, though, and see what the political landscape is out there, and I made the point earlier, and you can disagree with it, that for those who don't follow things as closely as we do in the political world, this may be for a lot of Americans the first big impression that they're getting of Chris Christie, and for better for worse, it's in the middle of a scandal. Will this have an impact on 2016, Sean?
Well, again, I'm not a Chris Christie spokesman, but as a as a Republican, as you said, someone who follows politics closely, I think that what Americans, that for the viewer who tunes in for a few seconds and says, hey, what's going on? There was a problem, and you see a leader coming in and saying, wow, it's refreshing to actually see a politician taking action and standing up to the plate and doing something, which is something that has been sorely missing, especially on what I see the other side of the aisle, scandal after scandal. So I look at this as sort of as a breath of fresh air, and it's something that you're seeing over and over again on our side, where we're standing up, acknowledging problems, and moving forward. I frankly think we need more of that in this country, where our leaders are willing to acknowledge when they make a mistake or something went wrong on their watch and take the appropriate action. I think most Americans will reward leaders who do that.
Sean Spicer, Communications Director for the RNC. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Chris.
One top Republican said